not a professional taster or a professional cook, so I had to consult with these guys a little bit, and I actually changed my vote slightly because they know how something should be presented, and I like Dave's artistic effort as far as putting extra elements on the plate, and the crisscrossing asparagus is pretty good, but it was a little bit spread out, a little bit messy, as these guys pointed out, and I had to agree eventually. And then Karina's presentation, of course, really presented the salmon on top.
Yeah, the flavor that we had discussed, both were out of the park phenomenal. You got the lemon, you had the natural flavor of the asparagus, you had the wonderful texture of the salmon. The lemon did shine in Dave's, however, the breading was a little too thick, where then it got a little bit more mushy.
Yeah.
However, on Karina's, it was a little more crunchy and crispy.
Both of them cooked the salmon very, very well. Karina's was perfectly cooked salmon, and the texture with the crunch and then going through the perfectly cooked salmon was great. The drawback on Karina's dish was the asparagus was just a little bit overcooked, whereas Dave hit the asparagus perfectly.
We all love the asparagus on Dave.
And it was great. And just a little bit thick on the breading, and could have maybe caramelized it a little bit more.
Well, the judges have decided, and it was very difficult because it was very delicious. I mean, that's typically the way a cook-off goes, is that just tiny little things end up tipping the scales because it's just wonderful. And of course, the trig salmon was great, and they did a great job cooking it. Let's start out with the texture.
Do you want to hold hands?
Yes.
We judged in 3 categories: texture, taste, and presentation, right? And we'll start out with the texture, and all 3 judges loved Dave's asparagus. It was cooked just the right amount, maybe slightly under, which is good because it gives it some snap. Karina's asparagus, we decided, was a little bit overcooked. It was a little bit softer, so that kind of tipped the texture in favor of Dave's. But the texture of the salmon was better on Karina's. It was a little bit more, the salmon was slightly more flaky. I guess it was cooked almost, the perfect amount, and the crust was crusty, and it crunched. Dave's had a lot of flavor in it. With the pistachios, it was a little bit thick, so it didn't get quite as crusty. As far as taste goes, well, that's where Dave came in and shined spectacularly. The lemon really went through the fish and the crust, and the asparagus was very, very well flavored. And all of those marks for taste, the balance tipped slightly in Dave's favor, so he wins. So the presentation is where the tiebreaker comes in, and the judges disagreed. We all unanimously agreed on the texture and the taste, but presentation is a little bit different. Now, I particularly like Dave's effort as far as trying something different with the grilled lemon and the crisscross asparagus. It was pretty good. So I kind of like that. The other judges really liked the fact that Karina featured the salmon on top. They went 2-1 in favor of Karina. So overall, Karina is our winner.
Wow! I can't believe it!
Wow! How about it? Speech! First of all, it's all about the ingredient, is that your brain goes wild if you know how to cook and you don't use recipes all the time. You normally start thinking about how am I going to riff off this and how am I going to add enough flavor so that the judges will just absolutely love it. And so I tried. I thought, I'm going to layer it up with this, with the salmon and the asparagus, especially asparagus, is asparagus for me. I've always got to find a way to, kind of crank up the flavor on asparagus. So, it was fun. It was great. And it was cool that it was just a super tight race because Karina, seriously, is not a cook, doesn't cook, but man, she had a great dish, and I'm so glad that the judges liked what we tried. And congratulations to Karina today.
I rarely win things, and I just feel so excited about having won this competition. Dave, to go against Dave, it's a huge deal. He put bacon in his asparagus, for crying out loud. That's huge. It was so tasty. Either way, I learned so much today. I'm so grateful to NTC and to Chef Travis and to Triggs for providing the food. I learned that preparation is key. Number 2, that it's important to just tear the ends of the asparagus so as to not get the chewy parts. You know, you shave off the ends to make them look pretty. In order to zest the lemon, you don't use the white part, just the yellow part. I mean, I'm gonna go home with a chock full of knowledge, and my mom Margarita is gonna be like, what? It's a great day.